Well, hello. Today is October 27th, and you are watching the Viewscreen. I'm your host, Amy Nelson, and
I'm also your host, Kelvin Wood. The Viewscreen is your weekly Star Trek magazine show streaming live on YouTube. We're bringing you news, special features, and lots of love for our Star Trek extended family all around the globe.
if you can't watch us live, don't worry. We've got a podcast and you can watch the replay on YouTube. So find us there on the podcast, wherever you find your podcasts.
If you're a returning viewer, a very warm welcome back to the show. And if you are new here, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate all of your support. So we would love it if you could hit the like, subscribe, and alert notifications on YouTube to make sure you never miss an episode of the Viewscreen. We've still got a few more episodes to go in this season 2 run. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel over the last week as well. We're currently up to 113 now, so we're still growing. And we do have over 200 videos on our YouTube channel of all of the shows across the BQN network. So go and check them out.
Yeah, and you don't have to find us only on YouTube. Come join us over on Facebook. We've got the BQN Collective and our Discord server, which is just super fun. I love chatting with everyone on our Discord server. And of course, if you're watching us live, say hi to us in the chat. We'd love to interact and pop your comments up on screen.
Well, good afternoon, I would say today, Amy. I'm a little bit closer. The time has changed here in the UK overnight, so we're only 7 hours apart rather than the usual 8 for the 1 week of the year. So yeah, it's crazy trying to keep up with all of these time zone changes. And when I was setting up the stream today, I was like, I hope I got it right. So I'm grateful, first of all, that we're all here on time in full, and the viewers have also started joining us. How's your week been?
It has been actually quite enjoyable, busy as usual. However, on Friday, we here in the state of Nevada celebrated the day that we became a state. The actual date is October 31st on Halloween. That makes Nevada special. We're a little kooky over here. But I also did my early vote. So my ballot is in. I feel happy with my ballot. So
well done. Well done.
Hopefully we can just put to rest all this craziness that seems to influence the entire world. My goodness.
Not long to wait now.
Yeah. But even better this week, Kelvin, we got new Star Trek.
We did indeed. We did indeed. I don't know how much we're going to discuss, and I'm sure Kristen might touch on it in the news. So I guess we better just kind of flash up that there might be some spoilers about Lower Decks. So if you've not seen any Lower Decks yet, we'll try to keep our spoilers particularly light so as to not ruin the excitement there. But yeah, 2 episodes. Have you managed to see both of them?
I have. I watched one on Thursday and one on Friday, and then I'm going to have to watch both of them because I am recording later today our podcast Union Federation. So we'll be highlighting the first 2 episodes and then from there for the rest of the season. So you can hear me over there on Union Federation.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we get a full breakdown of everything that you thought of the episodes over on that show, which will be dropping later in the week, I imagine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. Now, how are you? Do you like that it's coming out with 2 episodes every season?
I'm okay with it. You know, more is more. We are greedy, let's face it. But I guess it's when you then end the season and there's a little bit of a drought before anything else. And we mentioned last week, there's a good few weeks between Lower Decks ending and the Section 31 movie going live, but that is over Christmas and the New Year and the holiday season, so we're all gonna have life busyness there too, so I guess it's fine. And I liked the first 2 episodes of Lower Decks because we got the whole Tendi kind of with the Orions in the 2 episodes, so they were quite closely linked. So yeah, I did enjoy having 2 this week. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that actually did worry me a little bit because I like the episodic nature and that those 2 were, I would say, a 2-parter. I mean, it's continuing the story of Tendi that got left off at the first. So I know. I'm just going to complain no matter what. But I love that we're getting new Star Trek. But I like episodic, and I want one at a time because I just need it to go and expand forever.
Brilliant, brilliant. Actually have a little plea that I need to make to the viewers live and the listeners as well. I've had a mystery parcel arrive in the post that didn't have any details of who sent it to me and James. And since we're talking art and design this week, I just want to flash up. Somebody has hand carved or maybe 3D printed a Captain Spock piece of art there. So the white on black is actually 3-dimensional. It's cut. I suspect it may be our friend Joe Keegan, but he has not confirmed or denied it's him. However, if it's not Joe, many thanks to whoever has shipped that over to me and James. It's currently proudly displayed on our mantelpiece in the living room until we find a more permanent wall to hang it on in the home. So thank you to whoever made and sent that beautiful piece over to
Okay, I thought that I knew who it was.
Okay, who do you think it is?
Let me ask though, did you get the Star Trek decanter set?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then I don't know who it's from.
Right. I got the Star Trek decanter set from Christian.
Yes.
Yes.
So I knew that he was, so I gave him your address to have that shipped to there. So that's why I thought I knew.
What do I sound like with all of these people sending me Star Trek merchandise in the post? I'm very, very blessed to have such wonderful friends. So thank you.
Well, you are loved. So yes.
Oh, thank you. Shall we see what we've got coming up on today's show?
Yes. So excited.
Kristin's here as usual to bring us all of the news and trending of the week. Hello.
And we have the amazing and so talented Kavita Maharaj of Retrospect Studios.
Fantastic.
Talking to her. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just the one guest this week, so a little shorter in duration for our show. But it is action-packed, and we look forward to everything we've got. So shall we get to it?
Yes. Well, hello there, Kristin.
Good morning, everybody. How is everyone's world? Good?
We are good. How are you doing?
Oh, good. It's a lovely, chilly, rainy, late October day up here in Canada. I'm flying solo this weekend. My husband is in Seattle taking in sports balls. So yeah, he's having a good time down there. He found a hotel that has, like, if you get in a club room, they have a club like multi-purpose place you can go, and you just get free food and free booze. So
nice.
I know he sent me a picture of the wine pour they gave him, and they're not stingy with their wine pours. I'll tell you that. So I'm trying not to have complete FOMO that he's having this experience and I'm not.
Well, they've got some good wine up there, so
they do. They absolutely do. With some of the fires that have happened in our region, actually, some of our winemakers are purchasing batches of wine from Washington State.
The grapes, yeah.
Yeah, because we're the same sort of climate down the middle. Yeah.
Wonderful.
But no, things have been great, but always excited for every Sunday morning. I wouldn't wake up this early on a day off for anybody but y'all. So.
I was thinking of you last night.
And then not next week, but the week after Amy, we fall back.
Oh, right. I think this is going to be the last time.
So are we not springing forward then?
Because I think in 2025 we're supposed to be done.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah,
But
at
why
least
wouldn't they
for
leave us on
US.
daylight savings?
Or maybe it will. Yeah.
Yeah. Either way.
It's coming up, though. I'm excited. It's going to happen in my lifetime where I don't have to worry about changing my clocks.
Right?
Yeah.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
I heard a very interesting, I don't know if it's a rumor, speculation. I'm certainly not a medical practitioner, so I can't confirm this. But apparently the changing of clocks, the effect on your circadian rhythm causes a lot of people to have heart attacks and things. So there's actually a great deal of weight and thought behind what's the purpose of it. And originally, apparently it was to do with farming. So people could get up and do farming. So yeah, I would like to also leave the clocks as they are, not least because the clock on my car is really difficult to change. And it usually takes me about 6 months before I get around to doing it.
Just in time for the next time change to come. I don't have a heart attack. I'm just really grumpy. My body doesn't do well with time changes. So, but here we are. 'Tis the season.
Tis the season. I went for a few drinks last night, Kristen. I was thinking of you because Halloween is midweek. People are celebrating Halloween on a night out last night. Some will do next weekend. So there was lots of spooky dressings up going on. And I thought, you would have loved to see all of this.
Yes. I had a Halloween party last night and I got to wear my pirate costume from the cruise. So yay, I got to use that again. And everyone's like, oh, you didn't show up in Star Trek. And I'm like, I always wear Star Trek. I want to wear something different, you know?
I was going to reprise my Elvira costume last night. And then one of the parents was like, it's technically an all ages show. So maybe not with the kids around. I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Hey, JJ.
Hi, JJ.
Good morning, JJ. Right, Kristen, as you take a massive gulp of your Ractigino, what have you got for us this week?
Oh, my goodness. So first things first, sad news. I'm sure everybody knows that this week we lost a giant in the Star Trek world. So Jeri Taylor did pass away. I just want to give her a little bit of a spot this morning to hold space for her memory. Born June 30th, 1938, passed away October 24th, 2024, at the lovely age of 86. She was such a powerhouse of a woman and really did a lot for women in Trek. And so for those of us who found our place and our voice as a woman or as somebody who's not represented much in TV, she gave us a place to call home. And her loss will be felt. She wrote for TNG, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine, including such amazing episodes as The Drumhead and Sub Rosa. So where would we have been without Jeri writing Sub Rosa?
You know, Kate Mulgrew on Twitter X put out a lovely tribute and thoughts there. And I wanted to ask those watching and ask you too, did you ever see her or meet her? I don't remember seeing her at conventions.
No.
So I was wondering how out there she was.
I think her convention appearances were sparse. There is photos online of her at an STLV. I think it might have been the TNG 30th. But yeah, she doesn't attend many. I saw the news online break as rather ironically, I was sat there reading Nanar's book. So I was reading all about, the fantastic women of Trek. And then you receive this news that we have indeed lost one. So, there's a bit of a symmetry there. And Nanar herself has said she managed to interview her for the book. And she's so grateful she did. And I'm wondering now if there'll be a nice little dedication in the upcoming Voyager documentary that's due to launch very, very soon. She's a huge part of that documentary show that's coming out. So I'm sure they'll do something to mark the occasion.
And, you know, Jonathan Frakes is quoted as saying that she's great to work with as a director and an actor, and she cares about actors and writing and all aspects of the show. So she truly was one of those people. This was not just a job for her. This was her passion. This was her life. And, you know, I hope that wherever she is now, she realizes the true impact that she had on countless people, right? Yeah. So it was a life well lived, a legacy that will remain forever. And I just, you know, enjoy this next embarkation of your life and just make it so. And also one big birthday today is Mr. Robert Picardo. It is his birthday today, born October 27th, 1953. So 71 today. 71?
Okay.
Maybe? I don't know. I can't math this early.
Yes. Yeah. Because, I was born in 73 and okay.
There we go. Okay. So my math isn't too bad. Yeah. Yay, school. So anyway, bless Robert Picardo. He is obviously the Doctor, but getting to meet him on the cruise a couple times, he's just a lovely, lovely soul. So happy birthday, Bob. Hope you're having a great day. And also today in episode birthdays, we have Legacy, 34th birthday. Oh, I remember gasping at this episode when the revelation was made that this was Tasha Yar's sister. And I had such high hopes that they were going to write her in. I really liked her character right up until the end of the episode. Right. Where I was like, oh, no, I don't like you now. So anyway, this was I always enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a great callback, tying in storylines and the way that Picard talks about Tasha and the reverence he held for her. I also thought was very, very touching to show that two people can look at one person and see them in such drastically different ways depending on context. And so to always kind of keep that in mind, that somebody who, you know, you don't like is still loved by other people. And I know that sometimes that's a really hard thing for us to grasp. So, yeah. Also in the news today, we have my meme of the week. It's not really a meme. It's just a cat that looks like Martog.
I mean, this was never not going to be your meme of the week. It's Klingons, it's cats, and it's Star Trek.
It's everything. I showed Justin this and he's like, where can we get that cat? And I was like, right? Thank you so much. I would love to have a one-eyed snaggletooth. I have a one-eyed cat right now, but her teeth are good. So she doesn't quite have that extra little something going on here. But
goodness.
I thought this was so funny. Star Trek communities are so clever. The new stuff they come up with every single week that makes me just laugh. I can't. So we also have, actual news now. Actual news we're getting into is LeVar Burton received a massive government honor. So he received the National Humanities Medal for his impact as an actor and a literacy advocate. So this award is for people who have deepened the nation's understanding of the human experience, broadened citizens' engagement with history or literature, and help preserve and expand Americans' access to cultural resources. So it was quoted that it was his long tenure on Reading Rainbow.
Yes.
His time, of course, in Roots, and his role in Star Trek. That have all culminated to him receiving this award. And there is a lovely photo of him with President Biden and the First Lady Jill. And again, making this slideshow with beside Justin, and he goes, I wonder if Jill freaked out, because you know she loved Reading Rainbow. You know she had to have loved Reading Rainbow. And when a lot of the issues with banning literature and banning books was happening and still happening, LeVar is the first one to take to online platforms and list everything, and go to your local library and check this book out, because you need to know what it is they don't want you to read. Yeah. So I appreciated his little rebellion there, just making sure that people are keeping educated, and the love of reading that he put onto an entire generation, or maybe a couple generations, was it's immeasurable. So congratulations to LeVar on this. What an honor.
Yeah, I'm not aware of this award scheme. Does this happen every year? Do people get named for these? Much like in the UK, we have our MBEs, OBEs, Knights of the Realm.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And very well deserved. I mean, when you showed this, I was like, oh my gosh, could not have gone to a more deserving person. And you're right. It's, you know, his time on Reading Rainbow, what he's done with STEM and, you know, cultural resources, and his time on Roots. Like, yeah, it's just is perfect. And I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. And I also love too that it brings Trek potentially to a whole new audience, maybe who they didn't really realize that their favorite person from their reading show as a kid went on to Trek. Maybe they've been literally living in a cave for, you know, 40 years. And also just bringing back the importance of, I know this isn't, but the importance of Roots and what that miniseries really did to talk about, you know, the struggle of African Americans' history, and his role in that is, like, it's an emotional one. But so just the roles he picks and what he has chosen to be part of are all so impactful. And I just think that speaks to the quality of LeVar as a person, where he's going to make sure that his art is more than just entertainment. It's got something else to it. He may have not got the hosting gig on Jeopardy, but that's okay. He's doing just fine.
Yeah, apparently he's the host of Trivial Pursuit.
Even better. Even better. Yeah. So we have some other news this week with the announcement of a new movie.
Does anybody else roll their eyes?
So the source for this was the Film and Television Industry Alliance website. So I went on, and all there was script listing the locations, timelines, some names involved, where it's like it's been registered as in production. So, but here's my thing: they're doing this instead of doing the final movie with Pine.
Chris Pine.
Yeah, but maybe after Chekhov's death, Antony, what was his name again?
Anton,
yeah. Maybe after that, they were like, we don't know how to write this and we don't want to replace him. So maybe that caused a little bit of a, let's redirect this. I don't know. So
there's something fishy with it. You're going to start filming on New Year's Eve, December 31st. I don't think so. That's like fishy right there.
Well, my only thing is maybe they need something from a New Year's Eve. Like maybe they want to feature the ball dropping or something. And they're like, well, let's just start recording where we can not have to set it up and pay money on another time.
Okay.
You know, always thinking of being thrifty myself, you know, maybe they're like, let's save some money.
Okay, I agree to that. My other fishy thing is if you're going to start filming, movies nowadays take a lot longer, and this is going to be a next year release, and they're just filming.
Yeah.
Again, fishy.
That's what got me, and I was like, oh, you are being way too optimistic with this release date. So
yeah.
But their filming locations are being cited as London and LA. So both of y'all can just, you know, scooch a little bit from your homes and you'll be right there to maybe do some on-site reporting. I do like the fact that it is going to be an origin story of the Federation. So 30 years before Kirk. And there was a quote or a little synopsis saying that we were going to see Kirk's dad again.
Well, that's what I twigged from this slide here. If it's 30 years before Kirk, that would allow us a bit of Chris Hemsworth time before he dies on the Kelvin. So if this is I'm getting into my timeline and continuity mode now, so apologies, I've started. If this is before the Narada incident of 2009, then that would mean this is a Prime universe movie. Yeah. This is before things change. I don't like that it's saying Federation origin 30 years before, because the Federation was 2161, which is several years before that. Yeah. The Federation is a couple of years after Enterprise ends, not all the way in Kirk's era. But it is still new, so it'll have that kind of Enterprise tentative footsteps feel. Yeah.
The other thing I'm not super stoked on is J.J. Abrams coming back.
Oh.
I don't know. I've never enjoyed the way he talks about Star Trek, and I always feel like he's looking for a big payday. And then when 2009 was released, he said something along the lines of, "This is my practice round for Star Wars. So I'm working out the kinks with Star Trek." I'm like, you know what? Just go.
Kristen, that was one comment.
I hold grudges. I don't like.
Well, speaking of Star Wars, Christoph has just mentioned in the chat there that Toby Haynes actually did the Andor series in Star Wars, so maybe we've got a little more Star Wars influenced creeping into our Trek, for better or for worse.
Yeah, not sure how I feel about that. When we have people who literally have dedicated their entire lives to the franchise, like Jerry Taylor, and then we're bringing in somebody and be like, this is just because I can't do Star Wars right now. Please excuse me. I don't at me online. It's just how I feel. I'm just not.
Well, I think with nowadays, like this younger generation, I can say that because I'm the old one of the group here. But everyone's like, "Oh, I like Star Wars. I like Star Trek," and there's just sort of combined. And so now we're getting that because these younger people like both. And I will hopefully wish that Toby will do great because he is in the sci-fi world, and that takes its own type of producing and knowledge and know-how to do. Yeah. So
I think I'm just so bitter because as a kid, I got made fun of so much for liking Star Trek.
Yeah. And there was a big division.
And people would always be like, "Oh, you're like getting the names called and all this type of stuff," because I didn't like Star Wars. I preferred Star Trek. And it actually wasn't until I was in university and met our last week's guest, Dr. Edwin Hodge. And I remember coming out to him as being like, I actually prefer Trek over Wars. And he's like, "Oh, me too." Instant friends, lifetime friends, because of that one moment. So, it was, I think I just have a lot of bitterness left. So anyway, that's Star Trek movie potentially coming out. Let's hope the lens flares maybe calm down just a smidge, but bring back Beastie Boys as you feel fit. We also have some really cute Lower Decks merch. They know how to hit us where Trek people love to do. We love our trinkets and our memorabilia. So with the final season, of course, of Lower Decks, I have no spoilers in the news today. So everybody, you can just keep your ears fully unplugged. But the type of merch they're releasing is really inventive. So a Warp Your Own Way, Choose Your Own Adventure graphic novel. Loved those books when I was a kid, and I love that I can still read them now as an adult. An art book that does a full review of designs, characters, sets of the series, and cast interviews. It's a little ways off from release, July 2025. A Buffer Time Game, which is a really interesting looking card game. I couldn't quite get the premise of the card game, but I'm interested to see. I will get that for sure. And then a Cerritos model kit where you can build your own Cerritos.
Oh, nice.
So those of you who like to build and collect your models, I know there's a lot of new stuff coming out with the fan home models and the subscriptions that you can do. But this one you get to build your own, which has a whole other attachment to it. I find. I remember I used to build these all the time as a kid. Like I used to build the Enterprise D. And just
Did you? Wow.
Yeah. I never got to the painting, so they all just sat on my shelf unpainted, but they were built. And then, of course, just the hats, shirts, pins, posters, everything that your little Lower Decks Love and Heart could ever want is available. So, yeah,
that's Christmas sorted.
There you go, right? Just add to cart, add to cart, add to cart.
Very nice.
Done. Okay, next up we have just the last installment of Spooky Treks. So I want to thank everybody for just rolling with this. It has meant so much to me to be able to combine my two loves of course, Star Trek and horror movies and this time of year. So this week in my movie rewatch was the epic Invasion of the Body Snatchers starring Leonard Nimoy.
Wow.
It was so interesting seeing him in such a different role, and I have no idea what he's wearing on his hand. I don't know if people in the 70s wore just leather decorations on the back of their hands for the heck of it. But either way, he plays the world's worst psychiatrist. It was horrible. There was like this big party, and this woman was coming out saying that her husband was no longer her husband because we all know he'd been body snatched. And he gaslit her, and he's like, it's all in your head. You're just being unreasonable. Go hug your husband. And I was like, oh, no. Sir, you need to do the Kolinar, and you need to get your life right, because Spock would never. So anyway, it's what you would expect of a 1970s horror movie where they weren't quite getting into the special effects like they do fully in the 80s with, for example, Hellraiser with Andrew J. Robinson. But it's a very interesting story about the human humans constantly striving to maintain your individuality and maintaining who you are. And, they come in and they're like, oh, don't worry, this new reality that they've given us is so nice. There's no pain, there's no blah, blah, blah. So they're almost, it's a very interesting conversation on how much of that do we want to get rid of or maintain our lives that we've built for ourselves. But either way, it was really interesting. I haven't seen Nimoy in a lot of stuff outside of Star Trek. So it was very weird seeing him in this role, and not a likable character at all.
Interesting. Yeah. I've never seen it because it's not my particular genre of choice, but the title of the movie is so famous. I'm sure everybody's heard of the title of this film. The way you've just described it, Kristen, it's actually making me want to go and watch it because it sounds more psychological.
It is.
Horror and gore.
There's not a lot of horror.
Be okay with it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of gore at all. It's actually quite muted in that respect. No one's head explodes, or there's no chest alien thing. Kelvin, I completely thought of you because the lead in this role is Donald Sutherland.
Oh.
And guess what his profession is?
What is he, a health inspector?
He sure is.
Wow. Oh my God.
I laughed so hard. It's like, Kelvin will love this.
Sold. Right. Okay.
Oh my God.
You may have disappointed some people by saying it includes health and safety and not a lot of blood and guts. But for me, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's on the wish list.
Yeah, done. I actually, I was old school and I recorded it off the TV because I don't know where it's streaming. I don't know if it's streaming right now, but when I saw it on the cable, I was like, record, done, going old school. I mean, I didn't record it on a VHS like I used to, but
great.
It's, So if you're bored this week and you can find it, go watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers and let me know what you think of Leonard Nimoy's role.
Well, I totally love what you wrote, proving that he's better suited for roles where emotions are not involved.
It's true. It's true.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Right.
So that's it for the news today.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Let's bring in Kavita and see what she thought of the news there. Kavita, is any of the news that Kristen has just shared piqued your interest at all?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, I love fashion, and 1970s is my era. Oh. And so I love watching movies from the 70s. Whether it's horror movies or whatever, but actually I particularly love 1970s horror movies.
They're very clever. They're very clever. They didn't have they didn't have computers, so the artistic talent needed was was next level. But the fashion,
there's just a really interesting feel where you can, even if the fashion didn't give it away, you know, you watch a 1970s movie and you're like, this is the 70s.
Yeah.
Right. And I have seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right? And yes, like when you're, but you know, have you guys seen Rosemary's Baby?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I've heard of it. Clearly, like everybody else.
Rosemary's Baby until, you know, maybe in the last year or so, which I know is like most people have seen it. It was not at all what I was expecting, but it's got a little bit of similarities where I find the psychological aspect is way more important than anything with those movies. So
yeah.
But now, Kelvin, when I see Invasion of the Body Snatchers again, I'll be thinking of you when I watch Donaldson.
Thank you.
And I also was, you know, I was listening to Kristen talk about the possibility of Star Trek Origins and her feelings on J.J. Abrams as well. And you know what? I have to say, Amy, I know you said it was just one comment, but I think the thing that got me when I watched J.J. Abrams, and I'm just being honest, what's always mattered to me with Star Trek is the philosophy.
Yeah.
It's always been the thing about Star Trek for me.
Absolutely.
And J.J. Abrams did an interview when the movie was his first movie was coming out. And what he said was, when I was a kid, I didn't really, I grew up and I didn't really like Star Trek, he said. I didn't get it, he said, because he said to me, it has too much philosophy. And he said that's why he likes Star Wars. And to me, I thought, why would you give somebody who thinks Star Trek has too much philosophy the reins for Star Trek?
Yeah.
Star Trek is philosophy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I will say I kind of support Christian's view of Abrams being the one moving the ship. The other thing I will say is that I have seen some stuff that J.J. Abrams has done, which I really like, but I do find that as a generality, he doesn't tell his own stories. So a lot of the stuff he does is just other people's stuff that he's just redoing. He's a really beautiful visual presenter. In his movies, he does beautiful work in terms of the visual aspects of his movies, etc. But when you watch most of his movies, those ideas are somebody else's stories that he's just retelling. And that's something that's kind of really stood out for me. And one of my examples will be his second Star Trek movie that he did, which was effectively The Wrath of Khan, where he just swapped out characters, and that was I don't feel like that was a homage at all.
Yeah,
that was.
I suspect because of your back catalogue, Kavita, you've got a particular special place in your heart for The Wrath of Khan. So I imagine you were quite precious about it being touched.
There it is. Yes. So I'm agreeing with you, Kristen, in terms of your feelings there. I will say though, Toby Haynes and Christos, you mentioned in the comments that Toby Haynes did Andor, and from a Star Wars perspective. By the way, I think that 1970s Star Wars really philosophy heavy, actually.
Yes.
Really philosophy heavy. Toby Haynes did Andor, and I gotta say, I was impressed with Andor. It was one of the most interesting Star Wars stories to come out in a long, long time. Whoever wrote Andor really put thought into the story, into the motivations of characters, etc., etc. So actually that excites me that Toby Haynes, if this project is indeed happening, that Toby Haynes is involved in it, because I think he did an amazing job at Andor.
Oh,
Really good.
I have yet to watch Endor, so that's making me want to go and give it a try now.
Okay. Yeah,
after early 2000 Star Wars, I'm like, I'm out. I haven't watched much since the Clone War movie.
Yeah. So Christos just said that Andor is 70s noir. So maybe that's why I love Andor so much.
70s noir. Christos, you're so good with your words. I love it.
Spot the marketing director.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Kristen, thank you so much for bringing us all of the news there this week. And Kavita, thank you for your comments there too. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So we are going to be back with Kavita just after this short break. Thanks, guys.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristen. Whether you've got Xbox or Nintendo, check out Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. 2 episodes enter the arena, 1 comes out victorious. Join hosts Joe and Kevin and a guest as they debate which should win the Batleth battle. Grab your popcorn as you listen to Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out. Hosted by Mark and Matt. Don your apron for The Food Replicator, where Matthew eats and drinks his way through the Star Trek cocktail and 3 cookbooks. Beam Aboard Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Steven. In order to not repeat it, listen to History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissie and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissie and Thad. Curl up with a good book and delve into beta canon with Peter, host of the online Trek Book Club on Twitter, and his new companion, Trek Book Club podcast. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Whether you're a member of Starfleet Federation or Planetary Union, go check out Union Federation, covering current Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Head over to YouTube and watch the Viewscreen live on Sundays, your Trek-inspired talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy, with Season 2 starting in September for a 10-week run. Spill the tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with a LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea Bev. And for our Patreon members, we have the Hive Mind with monthly script readings, Let's Fly, a Discovery reaction show, It's Green, a cornucopia of topics, Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio. Welcome back. And Kavita, I am so grateful that you have come on the view screen. I just want to say to everyone, your art at STLV was the best. And I have been going to STLV since 2014. This is by hands down the best art, the best that the convention has ever looked. Wow. So I'm just super excited that you are here, and welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I would like to chime in as well and just say, sorry, Amy, I don't go to every STLV, although I have been to some. I'm a fan from online, but also as well, I am a customer as well. So I adore your work. So I'd like to echo Amy's welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes. So you are here with Retrospect Studios, your own studio. I've got so many questions as a small business owner myself a while ago. I wanted to ask you about that. But I just want to show everyone the amazing artwork displayed. And how does it feel to have your art displayed massively at the world's largest Trek convention? I mean, it was so superb. And I can't even imagine walking down the halls like, if this was my art, how would that have felt?
Well, I have to say that walking down, my husband was incredibly excited. He told me before I got there what this would be like. And he gets so excited that I think I stay a little muted in my response to those things, right? But the truth is that I have those moments where I'm thinking about it and I suddenly go, how did I get here? Right? Because the reason that all of this started is because I'm a big Trekkie. Like this work I do because I love Star Trek, and I started doing it because I wanted to do one painting of Spock for myself. So I definitely have these moments where I'm like, how did I get here?
Oh my goodness. And here is Kelvin's picture.
Yeah. So I think it was about 3 years ago, Kavita, that I bought this picture from my partner James there.
Yes.
We just moved into our first house, and he said it was just a really big ambition for him to have some like professional, proper artwork from Star Trek hung in the living room.
Yes.
So your pride of place there above our sofa, and you remain there today. I would like to pair it with the other Wrath of Khan picture you've got, which is currently out of stock.
Oh.
So, you never know. But yeah, we love having that. All of our friends who come to visit, if some people come who are not Trekkies and they don't quite understand what it is, they will say, why is that man picking the other man's nose?
Yes, like, what's going on there?
But they're very few and far between. Most people who come to visit us know immediately what it is, and also they know who's made it as well. So.
Yeah.
Oh, well. I actually, last night, I don't know if you saw my last post before I headed to bed last night.
Yes.
But I'm working on a commission painting right now of the scene from the Mirror Universe where Spock forcibly mind melds with McCoy. And I remember when I, had agreed with the fan that this was the piece I was going to do, etc. And by the way, this particular fan has been wonderful to work with, because when he asked me to do a commission, he basically said, I want you to do whatever it is that you're really excited about. So he sent me, a list of things he's interested in, whatnot, but he said, whatever it is, you need to be really excited about it. And it's been great to have somebody who's just like, I want the artist to love what they're doing. And so we agreed to that image. And when I decided on doing it, my husband looks at it. He goes, really, I kind of don't blame McCoy for being cranky with Spock. He really does seem to take advantage of him with his mind melds.
Yeah. So how long have you been painting Star Trek as part of Retrospect Studios? How many years have you been going now?
So I want to say that I started in 2017. Yeah. And so I was painting Star Trek for about a year before I then, a year and a bit before I actually got licensed with Paramount. So what I mentioned a little bit ago was that I decided that I wanted to do a painting of Spock for my den. And I then proceeded to take 2 years to look at photographs of Leonard Nimoy as Spock, etc., to try to choose the image I was going to work from. And 2 years after, I looked at my husband and I said, I can't do it. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, there's so many facial expressions, body language, positions and whatnot that are so interesting. I can't choose an image to do the, this one painting from. And he looked at me with this very confused look on his face and he said, so why don't you just do a whole bunch of them? And I always say he lives with regret. Because I am now at 30-something Spocks and
oh my gosh,
over 100 Star Trek paintings since 2017.
Wow.
And it's not just Leonard Nimoy you get to choose from as well now. We've got Ethan Peck. And
yes.
Right. And I was looking at your website and you've got these seasons and so how do you decide what character to draw? Because they're each, and I can see why you have so many Spock because each one is so different. I've seen all the Leonard Nimoy ones on your website, and it's like each one is so different and has so much feeling in it.
Well, it's effectively the thing that interests me, and we were talking about Kristen with the news and whatnot, and my interest in philosophy. I will also mention that I'm a yogi. I'm a yoga teacher, and I'm a yogi, meaning that I actually live as a yogi, which yogis are Stoics, by the way, and Vulcans are Stoics as well. And so the philosophy of Stoicism is really important as it threads through, let's say, Spock's characters, as it threads through my life as a human being. And a big part of that is, for me, what is it to be a noble human being? And so when I'm doing my paintings, whether it's Spock or any other character, but it started with Spock, the question for me was, what is it to be a noble human being? And I was, when I'm training yoga teachers, one of the things I've said to them is everybody wants to be brave, but no one wants to be scared. And the truth is, you cannot be brave. You cannot have courage if you are not scared.
Right. Because
if you're not scared, it requires no courage, it requires no bravery. That's not what, bravery and whatnot is. So for me, to be a noble human being requires you to have to, in a way, do battle with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do battle with the ego that we all have and the emotions that come up and the drives that are counter to how we actually want to be in the world. And so for me, when I am going to work on a character, my question is always, what is their struggle? What is it to be them, etc. Even my con that I did, that's, on this end here, I'll just kind of slide. There we go.
There.
So even my con, like that's the question I'm considering, I'm contemplating, is like, what is it to be a noble human being? Now, Khan, what I'm saying about Khan in that piece is Khan is actually a noble person. He's just failing at his nobility in the Wrath of Khan. He's got a ton of nobility and all of us fail. We have our moments where we fail. It's just that he failed and failed and failed until his death, in that spans there. But he's a very noble character. Look at not at how loyal, not loyal how his people were to him, but how loyal he was to his people.
Right
As a leader, etc. There's a lot of nobility in him. So when I'm working on a character, whether they're supposed to be the villain or they're supposed to be our heroes or whatever it is, that's the question that I'm asking myself. And that's as well where facial expressions, body language, and whatnot come in. And that's why I can do a ton more Spocks, because there's so many more questions to ask about the difficulty of nobility that will come out in all of these things.
That's so interesting that Spock as a emotionless Vulcan would provide you with so much content to wish to portray. And usually art is a lot about what are the emotions that we're trying to convey, and to choose a Vulcan is really, really interesting.
Yeah. Well, and for me, like when I look at him, I always ask myself, like, that's me on the canvas. So what is it that is occurring for me? What's my inner world? in this image. And so while he may appear to be very emotionless, I see it as there's so much going on the inside, and that's what I'm actually thinking about in painting when I'm painting a piece.
Right. Yeah, you can definitely see that. Just, oh my gosh. I am a school counselor and am struggling to help the kids realize that, yeah, you need to feel scared, and they're so young, and they get, overcome, and then they lash out, and it's like, okay, we need to take that scared and turn it into courage, into bravery, into controlling yourself so that you, one, don't get into trouble, but, two, that are growing as a human to, communicate and interact with a population that you may or may not agree with.
Yes.
It's, wow, so powerful that I'm not going to be looking at your artwork. You colored how I view it now with the struggle.
Yeah. Well, and you've just brought up an image of my most recent pieces for DS9 there. And I'm actually going to point something out there in terms of, you just talked about color and the struggle and that type of thing. So we've got Avery Brooks as Cisco, and he's the emissary. And I was, the background I gave him was to create this slight suggestion of a halo there, to speak to his role as the emissary. Whereas we look at the background from Age of Kira, that's the inside of an orb. That's the background. And if you don't know what you're looking at, it just looks like an interesting little background, but that's the inside of an orb. Well, when I came to Garrick is his background, you're like, well, it's murky, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There's still light in there, the way there is in Cisco, the way there is in Kira, but it's murky. And it's because that's the real question, is like, who is he? Is he noble? Is he the good guy? Is he the bad guy? Like, who is he? His nature, it's easy for us to look at, Cisco and Kira and go, they are this much good and this much don't agree with, right? And then you look at a character like Garrick, and there's so much where we are meant to go, well, you're the bad guy. And in a way, I think Garrick probably represents most of us.
Yes.
Where it's uncertain.
We have the capacity for both.
Yeah, we absolutely do. So Christos, I'm just going to take a quick read of what Christos was saying. He said, Kavita, such beautiful artwork. Do you have any plans to do a Beverly Crusher character portrait? She would look amazing in my condo. Yes, I do. Plan to do a Beverly Crusher. So, Amy mentioned about the fact that I release seasons as well. So that's my DS9 season. That's my first DS9 season. I do have a TNG season that has Picard, Data, and there we go, and Troy. So I do actually intend to go back at some point in time and do another TNG season, and Beverly Crusher will definitely be one of them. So.
Oh, you've made someone very happy.
And he asked about Klingons, I think. Oh, there you go. So there you can see Worf behind me. Yes, thank you, Amy. You are so on it. So there's Worf. That's the pacifist. That's the only Klingon piece at this moment. I do want to do a TOS Klingon. I do want to do a TOS Klingon as well. And Justin, you were asking about the Garrick. So you can go onto the website, and Garrick is available on pre-sale right now. And what's interesting is, of those 3 characters from DS9, Garrick is the most popular by far.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. Clicking.
Yeah,
what I love with this, when you pointed out the background of Garrick, it reminded me of the interrogation lights. There are 4 lights, so you're getting that, like, I'm interrogating you. Where's the light and where's the darkness? Yes. And he lives in that murky. Oh, I love that. Yes. Okay, so yes, talk to us. This is obviously our Picard season 3 season that you came out with. Love the 3. Raffi here to me just stands out. There's some kind of sorrow in her eyes that I'm picking up.
Yes. So, as you know, I mentioned earlier about the fact that every time I paint a character, I'm thinking about the idea of nobility for them and the difficulty of nobility. And Raffi is a character, a very noble character, one who she's a recovering addict, which means she struggles significantly. And that sadness that you can see in there is that struggle. And again, despite the struggle that she has, which has caused tremendous loss to her character, loss of relationships, loss of standing, family, and the rest of that. Yeah, her family. She lost her family. She continues to really try to do the right thing, even when it means that she has to stand alone. And that is something that really speaks to me as well, about the idea of standing alone in order to do the right thing.
And 7 has this fierce, like, inner determination where it's like, yeah, I've been a Borg. Yeah, I'm human, and I'm still going to persevere and find out who I am. Like, there's such determination in that look.
Yes, who I am. Because when we look at Seven's story is fairly unique for someone who had been assimilated by the Borg. Her story is fairly unique. And as a result, I mean, anything that makes you unique also isolates you. Right? Wow. Which means, again, that the thing that just popped into my head is high school. I was one of these kids who loved school. I loved school, no matter if we were talking about university or we were talking about high school or whatever it is. I have always loved school, and I always considered myself very lucky because I knew while I was in school that I loved it. I didn't have to wait till I'd gotten out to the work world and go, oh, you know, school is great. So I loved school. But I do remember something growing up when I was in high school at the time. We had, it was grade 9 to grade 12. And then your last year of high school was called OAC. It was like a grade 13.
Oh. Yeah.
And so I remember my favorite year was grade 12. And it was because grade 12, there was grade 12 and then there was OAC. Grade 12, you were kind of almost the top of the pack. But if you were in trouble, you could go and ask for help. Like you had friends who were in the grade just above you, you could ask for help. Whereas I remember when I got to OSC, I remember experiencing some real stress. And it was simply because of the psychological impact of feeling like I'm it. There's no one I can turn to, which was not actually true, because I could turn to other friends, I could talk to my teachers, whatever it is, right? But there was a psychological isolation that came along with being at the top of the pack. And I think, again, going back to what I just said about, when we're looking at Seven's character, but all of us, the things that make you unique also isolate you. There's a sense in you that you have to figure it out yourself, because it's not like everybody else is in the exact same position or place or experience. So you can't rely on them to guide you always.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Interesting.
As a TNG, and Troy is my favorite, I'm glad that you did choose Troy within your first TNG run. When I look at this one, I can see, well, yeah, it's my perspective, so I'm not wrong. Like, she's had so many times on screen where she's like, this is my only role. But then we get to see her progress and that arc through it. but I still feel there's doubt in her. It's interesting because she's confident, but yet has the doubt. And so it's going through that, what you were saying, that courage and scared.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I look at Troy as well, and I look at the primary relationship that we get to see, which is her relationship with her mother. And you know, I loved Loxana Troy in a lot of ways. I think she was a fabulous character, and Majel Barrett, you know, played the heck out of that character. But you know, if you kind of step back and you start to look at this as a real life dynamic, you could see how their relationship could undermine Troy's sense of confidence in herself. Right. How a lot of things that her mother would say to her, the way she would not listen to her in a lot of ways, which Loxana Troy did with everybody. She didn't tend to listen. Although she did a pretty decent job with Odo, I have to say, when you watch DS9. Right. But she had a tendency to kind of bulldoze her way through it in a way that if you were her child, you could see how that could undermine your sense of confidence in your thoughts and your, you know, and whatnot. And that could play out as a little bit of trauma and how you move through the world as you went along.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I look at this Troy picture and I can almost even place it. It looks like, I think I'm on the same lines with Amy, of the doubt. It seems like it's the story from Thine Own Self, where she's going through the bridge officer training, and that doubting her ability, the determination to do more and be more.
Yeah.
It's almost like a freeze frame from a moment in that episode where she's trying to figure out what does she need to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And think about, you know, when we get into the movies where she takes over command and she's got the saucer section, and then, you know, they crash into the planet. Trekkies like to laugh and joke about the fact that she drives the ship once and she crashes the whole thing into the planet. But actually, I mean, while it's a joke, can you imagine, again, if this was a reality, how she would feel?
Mm-hmm.
That when I finally do step up, the result is this, and that's not a fault. That's what needed to take place to save people,
right?
But it's got to be something then that if you were her, you would have to deal with within yourself. All that, the self-doubt, the recriminations, the feeling like, how would I be seen by others? Do I think I did a good enough job? Do I deserve to be here? Right? All of these things would come up as well. And that's what I'm painting when I'm painting my characters. I'm painting what is it to be you and the struggle to be you in this world.
Well, you're in very good company here, because we like to say that she successfully landed the without any casualties or fatalities.
That is impressive, right?
Yes, I always say she saved everyone, including Spot. So
there you go.
Yeah. Wait, where's the where did I not? Oh, darn it. Oh, you have a season. Go online. I've got the website scrolling on YouTube. You've got one of Strange New Worlds, the three. Yes. Nurse Chapel. That's my favorite one.
And there she is back there.
Yes. Yeah.
So Jess Bush actually came to the gallery at STLV to see her painting. And she apparently was really, really happy with the piece. She's standing there. And Jess is an artist as well. And she's standing there and she's talking to her assistant. And she's like, look at the colors. And that made me feel really good that she was so happy with not just the likeness and whatnot, but the color expression in the piece. So and she was a lovely person to meet.
How does that feel? I'm sure other people that you've painted have been over and shared feedback and given you credit for what you've done. That must be so rewarding.
It is very rewarding. Two things that happened this year at STLV with the gallery that really felt, you know, there was that reward. The first thing I have to say is Adam Nimoy came by the gallery to introduce himself to me and to talk to me about the work and his dad's, the way I portrayed his dad and whatnot. And he was such a lovely man.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he made the conscious effort to come to the gallery to meet me, introduce himself, and spend time talking to me about it, it was, you know, it really meant something to me. I said to my husband, I'm like, okay, this has made my convention. This is it. I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I bet.
And the second thing actually involved Jess Bush coming. It was because Ethan Peck had come to the gallery and said hello, introduced himself and whatnot. And then apparently he went back and told her she needed to come.
Oh, good.
So that was very rewarding as well.
So I noticed on your website that this one of Doug Jones, you have a digital print. Now I'm so ignorant. So what is a digital print? And then what are these other seasons? Is there a difference?
Yeah, there's a definite difference. So a digital print is it's done on acid-free paper, etc., but it's almost like a thinner photo paper.
Okay.
That it's on. And whereas the other pieces that you're looking at, they are what you call giclées. So giclées use a completely different ink process, and they are also done on acid-free paper, thick, really high quality acid-free paper. So the entire thing is considered museum quality. Okay. And what that means is all of those other pieces that are not digital prints, they are all meant to last at least 100 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you'll notice that if you ever click on, you know, any of those images, it takes you to show you the images and then to give you a write-up about the images and about the character and about the approval and that type of thing. And I say in every single one of those write-ups, this is not a poster. It's a museum quality print, etc. And that's because it really does matter in terms of the longevity for these pieces. What's interesting about the Man Behind the Mask piece, the Doug Jones piece there, that's a painting that I did based on a photograph that Doug had taken, because they are working on a feature-length film of him, and this is the image that we are planning to use for this feature-length film. I then donated the original painting itself to raise funds. And actually, the funds that year, because I get involved with this VIP party every year at STLV, and I usually donate one of my pieces, etc., whether it's a print or, in this case, an actual original piece of art. So if I remember correctly, this year those funds went to Kenneth Mitchell.
Oh, good. His ALS Foundation. Yeah.
Yes. So
wonderful. Good. And you've got a collab with Fan Sets. Is that
So actually, we're working on a second one.
Okay.
Yes. So I've been so happy with what Fan Sets has done here. They took one of my pieces, like the file from my piece, to then create. They wanted the pins to look like my work.
Right.
And those you can see the reflection in the photo there, and that's because those pins are they're three-dimensional.
Right. Okay.
It's hard to capture when you're looking at it straight on, but I remember when they sent me the photos, I was like, "Oh, those are nice," and then they showed up, and I went, "Oh, those are nice." I was so impressed with the job they did on those pins. Really.
Yeah.
So we are working on another one of my pieces, another character right now with Fan Sets.
Okay. Can you tell us or no?
It's supposed to be Kirk from his One to Beam Up, which you can see just over my shoulder there.
All right. Oh, that one will be great. Oh my goodness. Well, let's bring in Kristen and see if there's any artwork that might be coming to you soon.
Kristen's been known to be filling up her basket when people are talking about
I am. And actually, my husband is all in the chat right now, and I think he knows what to get me for Christmas.
Yes. Just saying.
Garrick, he speaks to me as on a whole other level. He is easily my favorite character from Star Trek ever. And I agree very much that he shows how, we both have the ability to be good and evil in us. And sometimes it's situation dependent. And I really always say he's one of the most adaptable characters that we've ever seen. He just knows how to roll with the punches. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I have to say one of my favorite Garrick, let's call it moments. One of my favorite, there are actually a lot, but one of my favorite Garrick moments was that in that episode, I don't remember the name of the episode. Kristen, I'm sure you do, but
probably knows
it's the episode where he actually is torturing Odo.
Oh yeah.
And the ship with being, what's that one?
The die is cast.
Okay, the die is cast. So he's torturing Odo, and he's doing it. And I, as the viewer, at first, I'm like, he's not actually. No, he is actually torturing him. Yeah. And but then he says to Odo, "You could tell me anything." Basically, he's saying to him, "Lie to me."
Yeah.
Right.
Just tell me something, and you realize that while he's doing it, and he's willing to do it, and he's doing it for himself because he wants to go home. At the same time as he's doing that, it's causing him tremendous pain. And in a way, to me, that actually starts to talk about the struggle of nobility again. Right? Sometimes I said, when the thing that makes us unique also isolates us. Right. It doesn't always land on the side that we think is good, but it is interesting from a nobility viewpoint to ask you what you are willing to put yourself through. What are you willing to suffer for what it is that you've decided is most valuable to you?
Wow. It's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. And you have to make that decision for yourself of what am I willing to pay?
Yes. What is it that I'm willing to pay?
Yeah.
And Kelvin, I wanted to circle back to your discussion about Troy. I'm here backstage just going, oh my gosh, yes. The scene literally looks like the point where Riker was telling her, just stop. You're done. Like there's no use. And she's just like, excuse you. Yeah. And just that look of just shock and struggle on her face was perfectly captured in that piece. But that's the first place I went to when I saw it, and I absolutely love it. And you know what? She stepped up to take control when no man could. She made that hard decision in Generations. So
yes.
Yeah. And you're right, Amy. She saved spots.
Yeah.
Kavita, I do see that your website is a .ca. Are you a fellow Canadian?
I am a fellow Canadian, and I think we might be in the same province based on you talking about the wine earlier.
Are you in BC? I'm in BC. Oh my goodness.
I'm on actually Vancouver Island.
Oh, beautiful. I'm right in the Okanagan.
Okay. I haven't made it out, but I have been told, especially in the summertime, that the Okanagan is so worth a visit.
If you ever come out, you hit me up. And we will do some wine tastings together.
Oh my goodness.
I know all the best spots, and then we'll end the night at one of my husband's his band's show. We'll make a whole day of it.
That will be when I'm visiting as well.
Here we go.
Because I'm always up in Seattle, so I'm thinking this summer I just need to get on up there.
Not far away, right?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, look what we've got.
Thanks, honey. I love
you. Oh my goodness.
It is. Oh, this is such a good day.
It is. Well, Kavita, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your philosophy on why Trek is important in your life. Again, this is why Kelvin and I wanted to start this, because we found each other through Star Trek, and hearing everyone talk about their love is different but yet the same. Just bizarro.
Absolutely. It's always interesting to find out what it is that drives you, right, as a person, for anything that you do in your life.
Right.
I mentioned that I'm a yoga teacher, and actually just this Friday, I gave my students, I give them homework all the time because I'm mean. So, so in my meditation and philosophy class, I gave them homework, and one of the pieces I gave them was that then when they were in conflict with someone, and they and the other person seemed to have their eye on different balls, could they try to see what the real issue was for that person? And really what we're saying is, like, again, what is it to be you? What are your values? And can I understand them? And once I can understand your values, such as, why do you love Star Trek? Like, what is it that speaks to you? And where does that even come from? Where does that come from? Why is nobility important to me, but it may not be important to someone else?
Yes.
And then you could start seeing that play out more and more in the world. So I can completely understand what you mean, where you love talking to people about their love of Star Trek, because there are all these different reasons why. And it probably kind of rounds out your own love when you start hearing these things, because you start to consider it differently, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So.
Well, while we've got everyone on screen here, we might as well just do our quick roundup before we do our outro. Kavita, where can people find you online if they're interested in continuing the conversation, or maybe even getting the checkbook out and making
Checkbook? What year is it?
I know.
So, you know, that you guys have done such a lovely job at having my website scrolling at the bottom. So it's retrospectstudios.ca. As Kristen noted, I am in Canada, but we ship all around the world. As Kelvin knows, because he owns one of my pieces.
They do. Arrive very safely in Manchester in the UK.
Yes. Excellent. Always happy to hear that. So you can find me at retrospectstudios.ca. You can also find me on Facebook. So Retrospect Studios and I think it's .art, I think. But just go onto Facebook and look for it.
You'll find it, yeah.
It'll show up. And then on Instagram, my handle is at Commander Spock UFP. As in United Federation of Planets.
Oh, I love it.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you. Thank you again so much, Kavita. It's been a delight hearing from you and seeing your wonderful work.
Yes, thank you.
It was lovely chatting with all of you, and it was my pleasure.
It was so lovely meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Kristen, as always, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, of course, at KStrats. I am on Facebook at the Union Federation, or the BQN Network. I'm so sorry. I had UFP stuck in my head.
Yeah.
BQN Network. And I am on, of course, Reddit at user Garrick's Fan Club. And I am so honored that this week a bot on the Deep Space Nine subreddit stole my post of me meeting Andrew J. Robinson and reposted it. And all these people were like, this isn't you. She posted this a long time ago. You stole her post. And I was like, people remembered when I posted that. So I felt very honored and like mini celebrity. So I posted online like, I'm special now. So
yay. Yes. You are special.
Brilliant. So, thanks, Kristen. Wow. Well, Amy, shall we we've got next week coming up. So next week's episode, it is our hobbies and interests week. And we are going to be joined by our good friend from the Star Trek Cruise, Natalie, to talk all about D&D. And we've also got Dan Holmes, who's going to be coming on to talk about model making, I believe.
Yes, I'm very excited. Cannot wait.
Continue with the arts and crafts themes, where we feel like we've parked science for now. We're getting into the creative, aren't we? Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, well, we would love to hear what you thought of today's show, and we do hope that you'll join us on our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, or our newly formed Discord server to continue the discussion there. You can find the links to those in the show notes on YouTube.
Yes, and a huge thank you to our Patreon members for your ongoing support for the network and for our show. You know, when we started this network, it was a goal of mine to never have any commercials. And this is a way that we can continue that. So please go to patreon.com/BQN.
And if becoming a patron isn't your thing for whatever reason, please remember you can continue to show support for the show by sharing our posts, commenting, liking, or just talking about us to your friends. That really helps. Big thank you to our producer David, who makes all the magic happen as always. We love you, thank you. But for now, thank you to all of our guests, all of our viewers and the listeners. And to end transmission, we'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.